So realism, right? It's based in power. It's based in military strength. It's the politics of power, man. And
Yeah.
so it's real interesting to see it that it took me 21 years. And of course, like I just got here, blah, blah, blah. But it took me 21 years to realize where I actually live, what kind of system I was actually in.
Yeah. What
But
type of
like,
system are you in?
what kind of system I am?
Yeah.
I'm
Like,
in a republic that
yes.
lies to itself, right?
Yes.
It doesn't even know it's a republic.
Yes.
It doesn't even know, like, the people I grew up teaching me this stuff didn't even fully understand the
What it
stuff.
means. Yeah.
Right. And so like I'm learning that the United States of America means that states are countries.
Yes.
And I get that it's a union, but I didn't put two and two together that each of these states were their country.
What's the root of, or where did state come from? Nation state.
Right. And so this is a nation state. The United States is a nation state compiled of all these different countries. And in sociology and like this whole international politics things, we say states, we don't say countries. And taking that, even that small little minute change in vernacular, like puts me on the other side of dialogue with the majority of people my age. And that's been a harrowing experience, if that's how you use the word. I got Google right here. Harrowing. Acutely distressing. Yes. It's been a harrowing experience, honestly. But Bighead's Guide to the Galaxy, Volume 1, is in the right, this whole thing right here.
There's a reason why I'm interviewing you.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, like, I wasn't just, oh, I'm going to put out music and, you know, people going to like it. And, but no, it was like, yo, we got something to say. Even if I'm not, no, fuck that. I'm not even going to say that. I have something to say. I don't care where I'm at in my career. I'm saying it.
Yep.
I'm saying it. I got to be the one who's honest, man.
Yeah.
Can't be holding nothing back. You know, so in Black Ceiling, when I'm like, I'm going to shoot, breaking through, options fitted, navy blue, baby on this side, we might lose. Baby on this side, we might lose. Huh. Fighting the opposition when they set us up wasn't by catching a stray. Got a bandage up, renovate the neighborhood for any battlefield in the backyard. They can't handle us, right? It's taken, as people would say, my inner city lingo, you know, my AAV, my African American vernacular, and I'm putting it in this context of like, what does it look like to fight the power, right? We always say ops this, ops that when we talking about the opposition and gang members, but
Yeah.
at what point do we fully see institutions as the ops? We already know the ops is the cops, blah, 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 but institutions, like, the whole thing about this project is I'm living in a world that hasn't faced its past. So what does tomorrow look like?
That's funny. That's all my poetry. I mean, not to like bring myself up right now or anything like that, you know what I mean? Because I find your album to be very, very, very interesting. You know what I mean? The line where the ops the ops call me villain, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that's how both on the street and in this like kind of neo-Confederate state, or like at least attempt to, it's hard to explain what we're in from my perspective. But with your particular album, I see exactly how you're getting at it. You know what I mean? Like I see like a lot of myself in your viewpoints. You know what I mean? That's why I'm really interested in talking to you and having a conversation about this particular project.
Just the whole veil on my eyes is I'm living in a world that hasn't faced its past. So I don't even know what tomorrow is going to be like.
Yes. And so like, what is the past that's being hidden from us? Like, or that we're not revealing to ourselves or that we're hiding from?
So the past is thinking about the Civil War, right?
Mm-hmm.
We haven't fully faced that. We haven't fully faced slavery. We haven't fully faced the genocide of indigenous people. These things aren't on the record that we have faced this as a nation. You
Hmm.
know, so what does it look like to still have hurt show up from 150 years ago?
Yeah. For me, the way I think about it a lot is like, how can we have a functioning legal system? Like, I don't think the project of America started until we reconcile those things, because until people are brought to justice for those very truths of American reality, then we don't actually have a properly functioning legal system. When we have a legal system that overpunishes individuals along certain demographics and then protects other individuals who actually commit the crimes we've considered crimes against humanity.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really interesting thing to become woke of that situation, because ultimately you find yourself questioning, like, what does it even mean to be a happy participant in just your daily experience, given now you have this tag of American, right? Like, I'm an American, I should feel wonderful about this project, but then I'm finding that it's actually a project of the destruction of bodies in a direction that I don't agree with. And so how do I interact with it?
I mean, you said it right there. This American project, and we're not talking about my EP as the project, but this
Yeah.
American institution as a project, it is really based off of the destruction of the mind, the body, and the land.
Hmm.
And so it's like very confusing of in this coming of age story in BGTTGV1, where I'm realizing all of this, and then I'm also realizing the part that I play in the cultural social revolution that is in front of us, right?
Hmm.
And it's almost like a callback to the stuff that was happening in the 50s and 60s. But in order to have a callback to the 50s and 60s, you have to call back to the things that were happening with W.E.B. Du Bois and all them different folk, right? What does it mean to like permanently stamp your existence, right? If we're thinking about Frederick Douglass and how many photos he took, right? What does that look like in the minds and bodies? So it's like, am I constantly self-referencing the past, or am I the future that they always wanted me to be? You know,
Hmm.
and so maybe it's both of those, but I think that I don't want to be constantly self-referencing the past. I want to be constantly like sprouting up the reference points for the future, right? And maybe that's like this weird time conundrum thing where I'm like, well, yeah, we have to tap back into the past in order to make the future. But it's like in the informational age, I think that there's this weird thing where we can communicate to ourselves within the in the future, right? We can do that. But it's like at what point do we stop relying on the past to influence the ideas of the future?
Hmm.
And in order to face the past, like in order to be able to do that, we have to face the past. It's like we have to be able to learn from it and move forward from it. And we're living in a nation that hasn't taken the opportunity to do that. Because if we did, we wouldn't be seeing these news headlines the way we do. You know, we wouldn't even have the current journalistic system that we'd have today if we were able to properly face the past, you know,
Hmm.
and be the big version of ourselves. You know, if we actually had leaders that were able to be the biggest person, you know, that the biggest, best person they could possibly be, we wouldn't have people like Winston Churchill committing genocide in India. You know, we wouldn't have the Bush dynasty fucking up the Middle East the way they did, let alone, you know, doubling down on the surveillance state. Like, you
Yeah,
know,
Obama being the president who droned the most people.
right. You know, the about like that's something I was talking about with some folk, man. I was like, you know, when I meet Obama, I'm gonna look him in his eyes and I'm gonna be like, damn, I'm really looking at a certified killer right now. I'm looking at a legal certified killer, man.
Yeah, he killed an American citizen without trial in another country. He moved the borders of America from a global border to you better be inside of America if you want legal representation.
Right. Woo. And so it's
Yeah,
just like tackling those things, man.
yeah. I mean, I deal with a lot of the same stuff, and that's why, like I said, I identify with your album a lot, right? And so, how else is like, where what are some lyrics that are coming to your mind right now in relationship to how you're feeling about what you're saying?
So um it's the second verse of Martyr, right? The
Hmm.
second verse of Martyr just in general is a song that sticks with me so much because yeah, I may have been able to say something in Black Ceiling. It was interesting production. I never made a song like that before, but Martyr was my steez, man. Martyr put it to me like, oh, I actually know what I'm talking about. And so I said, gotta do what I gotta do. Selling out, gotta bust moves, climb the mountains with no shoes. Lost around here, I need you. Times like this, I need you. Got this doubt I might lose, right? And so I'm like essentially going on this soul searching within myself. I'm almost thinking about it from like a Himalayan mountain kind of thing where, you know, I'm traversing the land and I'm getting completely in tune with higher consciousness.
Yeah,
And
if
then
I'm
I
bad
come
because
back
God said I
down,
was.
right? You know, and I come
Mhm.
back down and I'm like, my feet plant on the ground, you know, back in the city. And I'm like, I got this doubt. I might lose. You know, am I bad because the God said I was? Am I bad because the mob put it forth? And then I start posing this question. And granted, we had a talk some months back when I was giving you the whole basis behind these
Mhm.
bars right here is like, isn't action good just because it's right? If there is a God, where was you tonight? It's like once I've reached higher consciousness, it
Mhm.
comes down to a basis of does it do I really need to participate in a social reality that I know doesn't serve the betterment of the
Mhm.
human species, right? It's like
Yeah.
there's this veil of God, there's this veil of societal hive mind likeness, right? And it's like,
Mhm.
do I participate in this or do I further the conversation? So then I'm like, Big Mad, think I got a big head, took a lot of big steps just to fly. Big Mad made a move shit fast, who's on the other side when we die. Missed that, dodge a lot of riffraff. It's so hard to feel alive, knock down, get up. I've been down bad for months. And we had this talk about the whole idea that humans can go a place that God can't, you know, and it's death, right?
Mhm.
And when you said that, I was like, oh my God, bro, like
Yeah.
that is it right here, because it's like we're always talking about God, we're talking about this, we're talking about that. But when we think about it as beings, like where can we go that this higher being can't?
Mhm. Right.
And
It
it's
can't.
like that. And so it's like it almost creates this detachment from what's happening on earth,
Mhm.
right? To where yes, I may be detached, but I know my responsibilities to the cause.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, that's why I introduced you to Siam, because I mean, I heard a lot of things that you needed to started talking about in your album, right? And that's why we started talking about uh, Krishna, Arjuna, Brahman, Hinduism, but started pushing towards the ideas of what it would mean to have alternative states of being and what it would mean to identify differently and how we can start looking at ourselves in a new, unique way, given the 21st century offering us these strange, silly beliefs about ourselves. How do I participate actually and truly in a project bigger than myself?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
How
what,
do I participate in that? And so it was a matter of the participation in the revolution. And
mhm.
granted, it was low key dramatized a bit, but it was dramatized without the intention of us actually getting there. Now we're pretty damn close to getting there,
Mhm.
you know, and that's the kicker for me.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing that was shocking for me, because when I was making this project, I'm like, I'm just going to take our situation, and this is like in May, April kind of thing. I'm like, I'm
Mhm.
going to take our situation and make it 6 times worse. And then each week it went up by one, right? Before all of a sudden, people are getting snatched up on the streets, people are getting shot and kidnapped and all these different things. But instead of it happening by another civilian, it's happening by institutions. It's state sponsored.
Yeah, I mean, for like this last year, I called my dad quite a bit and was asking, well, what's going on with the world? This is the way I see it. I mean, I see neo-Confederate move in an anti-civil rights kind of like patterning, like they don't want particular rights for certain types of people and they want to rearrange the construct of our democracy to better fit a different legal construct than the one that we currently have, right? And I
Yeah.
frame that up as the neo-Confederates doing an anti-civil rights movement, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm watching all this stuff play out, COVID exacerbating a lot of the particular stuff that like I see. And I keep asking my dad, like, okay, well, what's up with this? Well, this is going to get better, da 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 da. Or he was saying it was going to get better in June. You know what I mean? And then I started calling him like, all right, hey, when's it going to get better? You know?
Yeah, I was
And
there.
then,
I was like, yo.
Yeah. You've seen me call him. You know what I mean? Like I don't tend to shy away from like putting it on speakerphone and talking to my parents freely, right? And like even to like a week ago, this guy was still saying things are going to get better. And I was like, all right, motherfucker, watch. I'm going to call you later once people get killed in the Capitol Hill, and then we're going to finally have some talks.
Yep.
And so then I called him literally an hour and a half later, like, okay, it happened. Like, so when's it going to get better? Or are you being some type of like weird, naive person here in the 21st century about the moves bad people are really making? And like I'm not going to get into some weird philosophical definition of bad right now, but I like to sometimes. But, like, what are we doing here? Like, what is the actual moves? Like, what's the game plan? You know what I mean? Like, and the answer can't be, oh, I'm going to rely on the fact that it's going to get better. That's the politics of inevitability. And I don't want to ever believe that, oh, this is all just tending towards getting better. I want to live on.
And I was going to say, if that's your thinking, then me as a realist, I'm playing a game of power. Let me take advantage of the fact that you operating on the politics of inevitability, because I'm going to sneak something in there for your ass. Then what?
Yeah. Right. That ultimately the world's going to tend towards this place where no matter how detached I'm in from it, the politicians are attached to it in the right way. Like, I'm just going to watch football. I'm going to go eat at a restaurant. I'm going to talk about Game of Thrones. Never going to talk about politics. Never going to talk spiritual. Never going to talk any of that. I'm going to be detached, but I'm going to keep trusting that other people are attached in the right ways. Right. But here's one of the problems that's happening in the background, and this is where I mold myself, right? I'm not going to be one of the people that make those people right? And those people say the average person is lazy, they won't do anything, they can't do anything if we gave them an opportunity. And so if y'all don't do anything, who was right? You or them?
Mm-hmm.
And then why should you get carried by other people's actual hard work? Oh, is it because you think you're doing hard work? Well, what we found out here in COVID is who's essential and who's not.
Ooh.
Yeah. And then we don't have to have the poor people do the essential jobs. I could do it. You know what I mean? Like, if we dropped the population by 90%, I could be the bag grocery clerk for Rozotadi. Like, I'm going to see Rozo all the time.
Yeah.
And he could take turns. We can actually do some type of weird socialist thing where like we do take turns for the actual jobs that are there, and this is the thing that the average person doesn't realize, you know what I mean? You have to put yourself in the category as beyond average. And then you have to make sure that your life actually exhibits that way, right? You have to make an album. You have to sit there and have a conversation with a younger person like I am. There's things you have to do to step away from what the average person's doing. One of those things is use tools. You know what I mean? Like, one thing I like to ask people is like, the last time your toilet broke, did you call a plumber or did you fix it?
Mm-hmm.
Because if they didn't fix it themselves, or they asked somebody else to do it for them and they didn't actually physically plunge it themselves, then they're avoiding using tools. And that's pretty much what animals do. It's not that they avoid them, it's just that they don't have the complexity within themselves to actually go and do it for themselves. And you could say like, oh, it's a part of human intelligence to get another animal to use a tool for you. But I could say that crows, cats, and dogs do that also. So, yeah, you know what I mean? Crows also use the tools for themselves, and so do primates. And so you put yourself into the category of cats and dogs only when you say, oh, I can get another human being to use a tool for me. It's
right.
Like, yeah, okay, so you're a pet.
Yeah. Well, on that note, man, I do have to depart.
Yeah.
I appreciate talking to you.
Absolutely. You know what I mean? This is just going to be one of many conversations that we have planned out, you know what I mean, to talk about all this type of stuff. I appreciate you, got you in the background here. So thank you. I'm going to tag this video with Martyr. And then we'll kind of get deeper into your album by talking about more songs. So.
Oh yeah, we can post this on my YouTube too. We can post it on your YouTube. Yep. All of it. Let's do all of it.
Yes, sir.
You have a good one, okay?
Absolutely.
Thank
you. Yep. Till next time, sir.
Till next time. Good luck.
I need these niggas to realize what I am and what I do. Nobody here for us, so we gotta go and make a move. Precious on, tell me right on, just hurry up and choose. Now that you're long, I just want you to get something more to lose. Should I do is rest and produce, but there's just nothing new. Niggas look at me and think that they know me, they ain't got a clue. Work with the word on this shit and I'll drain you till you fucking blue. Somebody here can drag you out the mud, but you should know it's you. Broke down, fix it, speed up, next. Knock down, get out, uppercut, flex. They want us to suffer, that's why niggas keep it tight. They want us to suffer, they didn't place no bets. Broke down, fix it, speed up, next. Knock down, get out, uppercut, flex. They want us to suffer, that's why niggas keep it tight. They want us to suffer, they didn't place no bets.
I've been a lot of places and I've seen a lot of shit, but I'm still stuck on the inside cause I ain't been honest yet. Somehow people salute me, but the pigs aiming to shoot me. I let the dead talk, have you seen the dead walk? I'm the type they kill off, martyr for the real ones. Knowing I can't bring it, so goddamn I break off feelings. A lot of empty faces when I broke the glass ceiling. Had to leave the bros cause I yearn for independence. Every single interview they all up in my business. Don't act brand new when I snap off cause I'm busy. Saw my face on billboards, they say they know the real me. Came straight from the mud, these ops call me Billy.
Broke down, fix it, speed up, next. Knock down, get out, uppercut, flex. They want us to suffer, that's why niggas keep it tight. They want us to suffer, they didn't place no bets. Broke down, fix it, speed up, next. Knock down, get out, uppercut, flex. They want us to suffer, that's why niggas keep it tight. They want us to suffer, they didn't place no bets.
Gotta do what I gotta do. Selling out, gotta bust moves. Climb mountains with no shoes. Lost right here, I need you. Times like this, I need you. Got this thought I might lose. Need to fight and push through. Got this thought Am I back cause the God said I was? Am I back cause the mob put it forth? Isn't action good just cause it's right? If there is a God, where was you tonight? I needed you. Big man, think I got a big head, take a lot of big steps just to fly. Big bad, make a move, shit fast, who's on the other side when we die? Miss that, judge a lot of riffraff, it's so hard to feel alive. Knock down, get up, I've been down bad for months.
Broke down, fix it, speed up, next. Knock down, get out, uppercut, flex. They want us to suffer, that's why niggas keep it tight. They want us to suffer, they didn't place no bets. Broke down, fix it, speed up, next. Knock down, get out, uppercut, flex. They want us to suffer, that's why niggas keep it tight. They want us to suffer, they didn't place no bets.